The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Let's go! What's that? Game time! Game time! It's gonna be a football game tonight now. No doubt. It's gonna be a football game here. Okay. I done been here before. All right, let's go, baby.
9. Rushing 4, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground, and it's still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line. Vaughn Miller did it again.
Alabama back on top of the college football world. Ladies and gentlemen, football to the max.
Your host, Sean Garmer, Gary Vaughn, and Randy Isbell.
Hello and welcome to another Football to the Max. And yes, I know we've been missing what seems like for like 2 weeks now. I don't want to get into the long story of several reasons why that's not been happening, but some of them involve sleep and other things that don't involve sleep. So yeah. I am your host, Sean Garmer here, and of course, with me as we approach that thing we like to call Turkey Day, Gary Vaughn and Randy Isbell. What's up, guys?
Not a whole lot, man. Just getting ready for that Turkey Day, excited about all the fun, things you get to do on Turkey Day, like eat tons of food, watch plenty of football, and, hopefully some sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the three things that everyone looks forward to on Thanksgiving, and that's what maybe not even in that order. I think the football slate that we have this Thursday tops it all. And obviously, I'm excited for the great food and the ability to claim the turkey was the reason I got an extra nap in. But no, the football, man, on Thursday is going to be very exciting.
Certainly. Hopefully, it does live up to the billing, because sometimes you get some blowouts, and it's not always fun. So hopefully, with being 2 divisional games, and then you get your little special game on the night portion, should be some good stuff there, but we'll get into that in a little bit. This being a Tuesday night, technically Wednesday morning now, the college football playoff rankings were revealed. We did not expect anything different to really be happening here, because the 4 teams that were the 4 last week all won. So it stays the same. Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, and Clemson at the 1, 2, 3, 4. Washington does climb up to number 5 now that Louisville lost and went all the way down to number 11. And Wisconsin is now at the 6th spot. So interesting to note that Penn State is right under them at 7, Oklahoma at 8, Colorado at 9, and Oklahoma State at 10. Before you go down to number 12 with USC, I saw a lot of people complaining about USC should have been higher. Washington State still ranked at 23. We could go down the list, but I'm not going to. What do you think, guys? Obviously, we know what the 4 were going to be, but you like the fact that Washington up there in that 5th spot, Wisconsin in that 6th spot over some of these other teams?
I think so. I mean, for the most part, I like Washington being in that 5th spot. I think that, I keep clamoring and, finding some way in my mind to do some math to hopefully will them into a actual 4th or, spot, or actually get in to the top 4, but I think those chances are very, very unlikely. But looking at the rest of this, I think that we got to definitely give props to everyone else who's kind of moved up. Florida State moving up in their rankings, and of course, the USC complaints I don't really see. I don't know that USC is better than Louisville. It might be, but I don't know. Oklahoma State has just done such a good job, and I've been not on their side for a lot of this.
A hater.
Yeah, a hater. I definitely have been a hater of Oklahoma State, but they're proving me wrong, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to prove me wrong, and they did that. Colorado, right above Oklahoma State. It makes me very happy to see that. I wish they had an opportunity to play some of these bigger teams. Even Penn State. Penn State, I'm still not sold on that they're as good as this ranking at 7. I honestly would love to see Colorado flip spots with them, but that's just me.
Yeah, listen, like Sean said, we weren't expecting any big changes, but that's not the case after this weekend, and I'm really curious to kind of see what the committee will do if an Ohio State beats Michigan, because obviously that puts Penn State, at the top of that Big Ten division, so they would play for the championship, not Ohio State. So if Penn State then runs the table and wins the Big Ten championship, are you keeping them out of the playoffs but letting Ohio State in? Or how is that going to work? Are they both going to make it? Is that going to screw out a team like a Washington or an Oklahoma who would also win theirs? There's a lot of questions still to come. This week was more of just the calm before the storm, and you saw that with most of the schedule. Most of the top-ranked teams played nobodies. We had a couple fun matchups to watch, but for the most part, it was just kind of getting ready for rivalry week and then, the conference championships. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if some of these doomsday scenarios start to fall.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm excited about it. I think there's a lot of interesting things going to be taking place, probably some shocking events when we get to this point. And looking at the bottom of these rankings, you got to give credit. I mean, Houston gets pushed up to 20, which, I was kind of curious how people felt about that. They did beat Louisville, which was a very highly ranked team, but it's still, Houston has had a few losses on their record, and it has not been very impressive. Western Michigan has actually been a team that people really love, and they're really following, and, Utah still hanging around. Washington State, I'm a little surprised they still got to stay in the rankings. I am surprised that they may not have got knocked out for some reason, but hey, and Navy sneaks out at the 25 spot.
Now, the Washington State thing just proved my point that they should have been ranked a lot higher before that game, obviously on the road against a tough Colorado team who is now in the top 10. And listen, I watched a lot of that game. It was televised here. It was a wonderful first half. Both quarterbacks were playing extremely well, and Luke Falk just kind of fell off the cliff. And, Colorado just took it to him in the second half. But to me, them losing that game, but still going to the Apple Cup with a chance to win the North and the Pac-12 just shows that they deserve to be ranked. And I think they went, well, yeah, they lost, and we got to move them down, but they're 1 win away from a Pac-12 championship game, so where do we put them? It's like, well, you should have had them higher to begin with. So,
That's your point.
Fair. I still think Western Michigan should be higher. They're still undefeated, for God's sakes. But,
they haven't played anybody.
Who cares? They're still undefeated.
Sean loves
still
them.
Means something for them to be undefeated in college football.
You haven't seen Sean's collection of Western Michigan gear, so...
No, I'm not going to be like Brandon and think that we need to just have 16-team playoff or anything.
No, and I just want to bring that up because that was a fun discussion that the three of us had a little bit on a post that we saw on Facebook where, yes, it was cute that every team between Alabama and where Western Michigan was ranked had, or in the AP poll at least, had lost to a team that lost to a team that lost to a team that lost to Western Michigan. It was a cute post. That doesn't mean Western Michigan's any good or that they've beaten anybody. Just look at their schedule. Tell me one good team after Northwestern, which was their opener, and they won by 1. Name one good team on their schedule. Like, yes, it's a great story. If they go undefeated, they deserve to be in a big bowl. Yes, it would be wonderful if the world was perfect and they had a chance to play for a national championship. It's not that way. If you want to play for the national championship, play somebody. We've seen that with the rankings, period, that even though USC has 3 losses, they're up where they are because their schedule's been brutal. Western Michigan has played absolutely nobody, and people get moved up and down the rankings based on their strength of schedule. And it's the same case here. I don't care that you're undefeated if you're playing Joe Schmo every single week. You should be undefeated if you're a good team.
Yeah, I mean they are, but at least they don't go playing around like Boise State and wind up in just losing because they don't finish people off. I mean, the one thing you can say about Western Michigan, they have that killer instinct, and they do have an interesting game here, the final game with Toledo, to basically decide who's going to win the MAC. So it would be funny if all this and then Western Michigan falls too, just to put the whole thing out of its misery. But
yeah, in a perfect world, Pittsburgh's in the rankings. That's my vision of a perfect world.
Yeah, it would be interesting if, say, we did have 8 teams, if they would be higher or they'd be considered at all. Yeah, I think definitely with the fact that we have 4 teams and we don't have a kind of set. I think when you have 8 teams, there might be a set thing that they would have. Kind of like when you had the BCS or whatever, and perhaps they would be higher just because, they might take that slot if, say, certain other teams lose or whatnot. I think when you have 4 and it's going to be those 4, they're just kind of like, well, we're just going to put them at 20 or 21 or whatever because they're not going to get over these. Go.
That's not the case either because there is something set, not for the playoffs, but as far as the bowls go, and the top, team that wins their conference in a non-Power 5 conference, the highest ranked team out of those gets to play in one of those big bowl games that's not part of the playoffs. And they're down there in 21st
shouldn't
right now.
They be higher than Houston and Boise State because they're undefeated though? I mean,
but they haven't beat anybody.
I know, but they don't do it like that though. For those, I don't think they even do it by ranking. They actually do it by win-loss record. At large.
No, it's straight ranking. But you have to win your conference. So right now, Houston's not going to win their conference; they're out. Boise State needs Wyoming to lose, or they're out, and Western Michigan's going to get it. But it's based off the highest-ranked conference champion. If they're up to a certain point, if nobody's in the top 25, I think the rule is completely just scrapped. But listen, this is not the NFL. This is not the NBA. Records aren't everything. It's who you beat and how you beat them. That's how college football works. That's how college basketball works. There are too many teams.
I wouldn't say that in college basketball, the tournament makes it to where half the people that get beat doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying. But as far as those bubble teams go, when you get down to, Selection Sunday and you wonder why this team got out, it's all based on your
though if college
schedule.
Football had imagine if college football had the redo that you basically get in the conference tournament for each one of those conferences.
Yeah, but you have
crazy it would get.
Listen, I love the way college football does it, whether you go 4 or 8. I don't mind 8, but don't go past that. Because then, yes, you kill the regular season, like college basketball has. I've watched 3 minutes of college basketball. I don't start that until mid-February. Once the NFL's over, okay, I'm going to start watching some college basketball games to get ready for March Madness, which that week is wonderful, and that's what they build for, is, the conference championship week where you get some of these Cinderellas to win, or, a really high-seeded team and, say, the Pac-12 makes a run and they get their automatic berth. That's not the way in college football. But the fact is, it still comes down to strength of schedule. And I don't have the number in front of me, but I guarantee Western Michigan's strength of schedule is not in the top 100.
Oh, I agree with you.
They should not be high. I don't care if you're undefeated if you're playing the bottom feeders every single week.
I think if you had the 8 and they were in there, I just would want them to be in there just so they could get clobbered, so we could just that argument could just be killed once and for all from people that just say that oh well they're undefeated, they should automatically be in there. Well, okay, when they get destroyed by those teams that are ahead of them, you're not gonna be saying that.
Still quite the payday, and that's all it is for college football and college sports. Period is about the payday, and that's why you have the setup you have now. That's why there's 9,000 bowls, so every school can get a nice payday, and that's just how things work. That's why the college playoff took so long, because they were worried about what it would do to, some of those bigger bowls. They would think, oh no, it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's like, well, it still means the exact same. And the payday kind of reflects that, but it's all about the money. And we see that with Notre Dame right now getting their quote unquote punishment. Oh, we're taking wins away from you from many years ago. No one cares. That's my favorite punishment in college is well, we're stripping you of your 7 wins you had in 2011. So. I still won those games.
Well, if you were on that
still
team,
remember
maybe
winning
you
those
care,
games.
though.
What? You still won. They're not coming to your house and taking your wins away. Your stats are still there.
I know, but let's say like Reggie Bush, now he doesn't have that Heisman Trophy to hold, to show off anymore. Yeah, he won it, but he doesn't have the trophy to sit there and have on his mantle or whatever, A
Heisman Trophy and... Hey, you guys went 7-5, but you had this one guy cheat. So now you still went 7-5, but none of those 7 wins
that's so dumb. You had that one guy cheat. That's one guy. It's like it's not the whole team cheated.
Mm-hmm.
It's like why does the whole team have to suffer for one guy? It's like I understood that. I think the Paterno thing, they were going to take away stuff from Paterno because they're saying he had something to do with the Sandusky thing. I guess when it's the coach, it's understandable a little bit more, but even then, it's like,
But just, I'm a stats guy, and that stuff just drives me nuts. Because what were the years, like Michigan, their basketball team had all of those Final Fours and stuff stripped. But if you ever look up, like the 1993 March Madness bracket, Michigan's still on the bracket. They have an asterisk, and that's how it should just be. You don't get stripped. Just put an asterisk and say they cheated. But it's there. It's part of the records. It just makes me laugh. It's like, well, you're stripped of the wins. So what are we doing with the wins? So the team that lost to them still has a loss. Are we stripping all of the losses away too? Is that game just never played? No, the loss still counts for the team that lost to the cheaters. But oh, God forbid we let them say that they were 9-4 in 2013. Yes, stupid.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I think with guys who cheat, I mean, it's kind of hard. I guess you could use the asterisk, whatever. I mean, the only thing really you could do to really punish people besides, put the asterisk is just to take them out of the record books. And, it kind of messes with everybody else when you do that. So asterisk works fine.
Yeah, it's silly at the end of the day. So there is one, I guess, a little bit of one news piece I wanted to get into from the NFL in that Lane Johnson is currently serving a 10-game suspension for, I think it's the second time on the PED policy. And he feels that the NFLPA and the NFL are violating the CBA, and they're violating like the players just get no rights in the situation, and that he's doing this because the way that the NFL and the NFLPA are just deciding on this kind of thing is he doesn't feel it's right, So he says, I feel like players have no rights. Supplemental industry is not regulated, so you do not know what's in it. It's hard to believe coming from a second-time offender. But I want to be clear that the NFLPA does not stand up for players. they don't check the supplements. They give us an app. Then if you call and ask them if you test positive for something they approve, it doesn't matter. He says I felt like I was in an 8-hour bickering back and forth discussing league policy with people. It just felt good going in there and taking it head on. Man, this thing is basically just, he says he's not going to be intimidated by the NFL. He can't come back until December 22nd, basically, after serving this suspension. I mean, this is not the first time somebody's obviously said that they don't particularly care for the way the NFL does this. It's not like Roger Goodell and everybody else doesn't have this autonomy that they operate with. What do you got? Does he have some kind of beef here, or is he just trying to make sure he gets his money?
Well, I just have one question as far as his argument goes, and I can understand if, say, an NFL team gives you a supplement and then it, tests positive, and, they should have to, you can test the drug and go, oh, whoops, this has this in it and we're good. But here's the thing. It's not like he was the only person on his team that was probably given a supplement. So how is he the only one that tested positive? So that's the only part of his argument that just makes me go, I think you're just trying to cover your butt. Is like, if you're trying to say that the team is giving you this stuff, and that's what got you positive, they have, other pills from that same drug that can get tested and go, oh yeah, this is where this came from. Are bad. But if obviously they're not going to do that. It's like other people would have tested positive, you would think, right? So, I get his argument to a point, and where, it does seem like the moment you're tested positive, clean cut, you're gone. And you need to, it's like, even if you have your appeals case, I've never heard of anybody winning that appeal. So it's an interesting thing to look at, especially with how touchy some of these new drugs are, and there's tons out there. But that's just the way it should be. Is just go to your team every time, and if they give it to you, they should be able to go back and test that stuff. So I just think he got busted and is trying to turn it on somebody but him.
Let's be honest. Most teams aren't going to give you this thing. It's you. Like, he decided to purchase an amino acid online that was contaminated.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Why are you buying the stuff online? Like this?
Exactly. It should go through his team. Period.
Yeah,
or the NFL.
But what to his point about he feels like he's not getting due process for this thing.
How's he not getting?
He feels like whatever they collectively bargained for the PES policy is meaningless because he's not getting any rights protections of due process in this.
How is it unfair? The reason I say that is because they agreed to this. His union agreed to this whole process. It may not be him, but if he has a problem with it, he needs to speak to his union and say, why aren't you guys protecting me better? And it's not the team's fault. That wasn't their job. It's his union's job. And, I get it. You want to come up with excuses. You want to find a way and someone to blame. I get that. We all do it, You get into a situation at, your job, and you want to blame the guy working next to you. Well, he wasn't on time that day, so I screwed up everything, and the TPS reports didn't get, sent out on the right time. It doesn't matter. It's your job. No matter what, and at the end of the day, you can take it to the management and say, look, this is what's going on. I don't appreciate it, but it's then their call. And until you actually take it to them, and if they say no, you just have to suck it up and deal with it. And I think he has some responsibility here. I think, there is some things with the NFL process when it comes to these. I don't like it per se at all times, but I think the NFL's got to protect themselves. They got to protect themselves from the players that don't protect themselves from themselves. So it's an issue, and I get it. And I'm not happy with either side at times, but they're really. I totally agree with Randy. Anything that you put in your body and you're an NFL player, you need to take it to your team. And if you don't take it to your team and you get, one of these PED violations, I think your team has every right to fine you. I would put it in my policy. I'd take that to the union and say, look, your players screw up. We're going to give them every opportunity. We're going to babysit your guys for you. They don't even have to babysit themselves. We're going to babysit them every day. Bring your supplements to us. We check them all. We give them back to you. And if that doesn't work, then, hey, it's on them, and I fine them $10,000, or whatever, however much you want to fine them.
Yeah, I think the best what am I thinking? What's the word? Example of what is going on here is if anybody out there watches Hell's Kitchen like I do, and you watch the latest episode, there was a cook on there who, when confronted by Gordon Ramsay, was asked, what happened. He had a terrible dinner service and all this. And what happened? He goes, listen, I'm a man of my word. Anytime I make a mistake, I live up to it, and that's why I should stay. Is I'm very honest about this stuff. And he goes, what happened? He goes, my team let me down. No, you let yourself down, and now you can't handle it, and you're trying to blame other people, and now it's the NFLPA's fault, and it's your fault, dude.
Fair enough. That's what I was seeing what side you guys landed on there. So let's move on to talking about some playoff odds here for some of these NFL teams that now it's interesting just how some of this is shaping up in both conferences. We're in week 12. And so this is going to be a race to the finish. And a lot of these divisions, not only divisions, but in the conference, the Miami Dolphins, all of a sudden sitting at 6-4, they have a ridiculously nice schedule. Right now they're competing with Kansas City and Denver for that 5th and 6th spot. And then you've also got the unnerving NFC North, so like the Steelers could be involved in that, the Ravens could be involved in that, or AFC North. Did I say NFC North? So when you're sitting here thinking about who could possibly, the Colts are involved in this because technically the Texans are leading the division right now. Yeah, even the Titans are still in it, for God's sakes. So when you get into that with AFC, who do you think is a pretender and who do you think is a contender? Do you think like the Dolphins keep winning the way they are and they could slide into that 6th spot, or is it going to go just all AFC West?
Miami is very interesting, and they've really been a big surprise to me. I feel like they know that they've got a great opportunity. It's kind of funny, too, to look at this and to realize that even, Pittsburgh's still involved in this process, and they're still, one of those teams that I think a lot of people would, really expect to see in the top echelon, I think those are more of the realistic guys involved in this whole process. I think Tennessee's a very interesting team. I think they're probably one of the better teams, but I think their schedule coming up may kind of prevent them from being the team that would do it. But, I think these are some, for real teams.
Yeah, Tennessee still has to play the Broncos and the Chiefs. That's going to be rough on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the AFC is definitely really interesting as far as the wild card goes. Obviously, you think that the AFC West, are front runners there. You look at the AFC South, and none of those teams really excite you. They all have flaws. The Titans seem to be, that underdog team. And and probably have the best quarterback situation right now as Andrew Luck's going through his concussion stuff, and Houston is still led by the great mighty Pooh.
That's
And then
awesome.
you have
Never ends.
no, it will not
Marcos.
until he is off that team, which is just he's terrible. Then you have the AFC North, which is it's a 2-team race, and Pittsburgh for some reason just can never. They struggled with Cleveland last week, so I still think they're probably going to win that division, just for the fact that Baltimore just seems to be missing a piece. But you can't really think of both of those teams running wild to get a wild card as well. And really, you look at Miami, who have been on a great run, and they're very underrated. Just the way that they're able to find ways to win games. I mean, they were completely outmatched by the Rams for 3 quarters and then came back and got the win. But you look at that schedule, and yes, you get the 49ers, but at Baltimore is never easy. The Cardinals are an up-and-down team. And yes, the Jets have been god-awful, and that quarterback situation is a mess. But you go at the Jets, at the Bills, and then host the Patriots, which Miami does seem to have their number at home. Still finishing the season with 3 divisional games like that with 2 on the road, I just can't see it. So if you're telling me who I think are contenders, obviously it's the 3 in the AFC West, and Miami's on that edge as far as the wild card goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like Sean mentioned, Denver and Kansas City being the leaders. It just depends on who beats up who, but I think you're right. Miami's a big contender for me. I think they definitely have that shot, at least. And like I said, I'm not going to give up on Pittsburgh only because of the fact that they're the team at the end. They find a way to do it, but it may not be this year, but they could. I'm not going to put it out of the possibility.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, even then, whether it's the Steelers or the Ravens, you can't really count the Ravens out either because their defense is so good. And then, Flacco can decide to turn it on when he wants to, if, he can actually locate the ball correctly. That's kind of been his problem. And they're also one-dimensional. They have, no running game. So, that's an issue. And the Bills are also scary because, they've got that offense that can also turn it on, and their defense is not too bad. And so, I mean, the AFC, like Randy says, is very interesting. Speaking of that AFC South, though, who do you think it is going to be the great mighty Pooh and his defense, or do one of the other 2 teams come up and take them out eventually?
Gary, you answer this, right? No.
Come on, Randy. You don't want to enjoy this part? I mean,
maybe if he keeps syncing it up, Tony Romo will just go down south and play there next year.
Oh, wouldn't you like to see that? Come on, Randy.
I wouldn't, just personally, but,
Why? Why would you not want to see that?
Because I hate Houston. Why would I want Houston to win anything?
Oh, I hate Houston too. But I just, for Tony's sake, I'd love to see him stay around his house at least, just, down the road.
4 hours is not around your house, but okay.
Hey, the guy has enough money. He could take a prop plane there when he wants him to come back home. So, so you're the question is the AFC South? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. Who do you think, with the way the Titans have been playing, the Colts are up and down, and Houston can fail at any moment with, as Randy keeps noting, who they have at quarterback.
I personally, honestly, right now, I feel like Tennessee's still such a good team. Like I mentioned before, I worry about the record going down from here. And, I look at a team like Houston, which, they hung around a Oakland team that everybody was talking about just last week about how dominant they were, and their running game was amazing. The offensive line was killing people, and then they go and play Houston, and Houston kind of, stands up to them. But you look at Houston's schedule, I mean, and they got San Diego who, they can beat. Green Bay, they've already won. They can check that one off. And then the Colts are really not that great. So, and then you got Jacksonville. So really, honestly, looking at it, even the Bengals at the end of their schedule, I think they have an easier time. So I really do look at the Texans as being that team right now. Maybe second, I would have the Titans because I still feel like the Titans are going to be some of those teams we're talking about that they could lose to.
And I'm actually going to go the exact opposite. Obviously, with Luck not playing on Thanksgiving against the Steelers, it's going to be tough for them to get that win. It was going to be tough anyways. But the fact that they get the Texans at home and they finish with the Jaguars at home, I do like their schedule a bit better. They get that Monday night game against the Jets in a week and a half, and that secondary is awful. So if Luck is able to come back there, listen, they're only one game back right now, and like I said, they have that one big game with them at home to kind of even that up. I give the edge slightly to the Texans, but I would put money on the Colts before I would put them on the Texans. Listen, as much as I hate the quarterback in Houston and how much they overpaid for him, they still have a solid defense. They have a good running game. You saw that in that game at Mexico City. They can play well, and they do have a couple really awful defenses that they go up against that even somebody of the caliber of the quarterback in Houston, he can still put up decent enough numbers to get wins.
He's just nameless now.
He's the Great Mighty Pooh, but just saying Great Mighty Pooh 97 times gets old. But he is nameless. I will not name him by his name until he shows me that he is worthy of a starting job in the NFL.
Yeah. Oh, man.
There we go.
And I get your point, and, I totally understand. I'm not a believer in the Colts at all. And with, Tolzien, definitely not. But, of course, with Luck, I give some credit. But I just think that defense that they have is butter. You can go right through it. And I think some of the teams they got coming up here, I think Andrew Luck's going to have a tough time. Minnesota's no joke. I mean, they still got a good defense.
If there's one guy I'd love to have in a shootout, it's Andrew Luck, though.
Well, you say that, but are they going to protect Andrew Luck? And there's a reason why. Let's be honest. Andrew Luck is, not going to be playing probably on Thursday, and so
he's not
that's
playing
not
on
going to.
Thursday. I can tell you right now, he's not playing on Thursday.
Well, they say he's going to duct tape it up and walk out there with a stretcher.
Bull crap! He's going through the protocol right now. I just don't see it.
I know. I don't either. I'm just saying that's what his teammates are saying. But anyway, my point being is he's still got Oakland on the schedule. To Texans, I don't have any feelings they're going to do anything.
Yeah, for me, it's if Tennessee's going to have to beat Denver or Kansas City, and that's a tall task to beat just one of them, let alone both. So, that's not a joke. I mean, look, that offense can obviously keep up with people. And, Denver is not the mighty thing that they were last year. So, with Trevor Siemian at quarterback, so, I mean, that's possible. And, look, the Chiefs just got beat by the Bucks, for God's sakes. So, I mean, this league, never mind what I just said, you never know with this league, honestly. A week to week, what's going to happen. But, I don't know. If I had to put... Go ahead.
There's something I do know. Cleveland's going 0-16.
Yeah.
Unless Robert Griffin comes back and stays
unless
healthy.
The Bengals just suck it up in that game.
Oh. Even with RG3 coming back healthy, that team is not doing anything.
What's RG3 going to do? Oh, he's going to actually throw it to Corey Coleman? I mean, like...
He has the arm. He can throw it deep. And with Corey Coleman and Terrell Pryor, that's a decent enough offense. And it will be able to spread the ball out a bit more than what Kessler's been able to do. Kessler most likely done for the year.
Well,
I'm not
Kessler
saying
keeps
that
having concussions every time.
Yeah, I'm not saying that RG3 is going to come back and now they're going to just start winning. I'm just saying RG3, if he can come back and stay healthy, gives them the best chance right now to get a win.
Fair enough. In the NFC, things are a bit more competitive once you get outside the top two, Dallas and Seattle. And then you've got a bunch of just teams all in a row here after each other, going all the way down to frickin' the Los Angeles Rams at 14 with 4-6. This is why Jeff Fisher is not going to let that die, because you got all this with these teams here. But, you got the Lions right now winning the division. They're playing for the division on Thanksgiving with the Vikings. They're 6-4. You've got the Giants and Redskins both sitting having the wild card right now. The Redskins with that tie, edging out the Vikings, and because they beat the Vikings as well. You got the Bucks in there, the Eagles in there at 5-5. Even when you get down to a bunch of these 4-6 teams, the Panthers are still there, Saints. I guess the Packers are still there if they ever wake up one day. And like this is a bunch of jumbled mess here, but when you're looking at some of these teams, let's say a Giants, a Redskins, a Vikings, all the way to like maybe I guess Arizona. Like, who do you see as who's taking these two final spots for you?
Right now, as it sits, I'm going to go ahead and pencil in Washington. I think that they have come a long way. I think that they're the team that is going to give a lot of people trouble down the line here, including even the Dallas Cowboys. And the New York Giants, I look at them also, they're a contender, but I can honestly say, even that their schedule is easy from here on out, really kind of, they still, to me, can be the team to be upset. I really feel that way. I don't think Eli Manning is the quarterback you want going down the line if you're, going to go against superstition. I think, even though he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, I think I could maybe see him finding a way to lose games and say, oops. Philadelphia, still a good defense. Sure, Seattle beat them down, but I still think Philadelphia could be a team to honestly sneak into this thing as well. But outside of the NFC East, it's so hard for me because I don't know if I believe in Minnesota enough. I don't know if I believe in Tampa Bay. And definitely don't believe in Arizona. So, Randy, I don't know who else could sneak in there besides these NFC East teams doing a round table.
Yeah, I'm with you on not really believing in a lot of other teams. I'm with you also as well with Washington. I think they are the best of the rest right now behind, the Dallases and Seattles of the world. But, listen, I don't even believe in Atlanta right now. Yes, they're 6-4. They're leading their division, but that division is a complete crapshoot right now between all four teams. I think all four teams have a chance to win that just because of the fact that it could be a 9-7 record wins that division. So even a team like Carolina, who is 4-6, and with that loss that they had where they blew that big lead, basically destroyed their chances. They're still not completely out of it with the way that team can go. You look at the NFC North, the craziest stat I have seen all season long has been the Detroit Lions, who have trailed in all 10 games going into at some point in the fourth quarter. All 10 games, they were trailing in the fourth quarter, and they're 6-4. Now, does that just mean that they find a way to win? Are they that good? Or are they just getting lucky in some of these and their luck's about to run out? It's tough to tell, but the fact is, I don't believe in Minnesota at all. Yes, they got a very nice win last week, but they're still in a bit of a free-for-all. Green Bay is just a complete mess. That defense is one of the worst in the league.
They're walking guys literally off the street on the team.
They have to. Many injuries, and it's just... obviously I watch a lot of the Packers. My girlfriend's a Packers fan, so we'll watch them a lot. And it just seems like Aaron Rodgers, if we looked at the MVP for what it is and being just the most valuable, if they somehow came back and made the playoffs, I would throw his name in there just for the fact that he is doing everything he can. And there are times where he is holding the ball for 30 seconds because nobody can get open before finally getting rid of it at the last second possible. He is giving his team as much as he possibly can just to sit here at 4-6. But I think out of those three, I think they're still the best team if they could figure something out on defense. But no, I don't see a wild card coming out of there or the South. And the NFC West, obviously the Rams are garbage, even though they're sitting at 4-6, and the Cardinals are just. I keep wanting to look at them and go, okay, here they come. Now they're going to start figuring it out, and they just don't. They can't get things figured out. So I don't know the last time we've had both wild cards come out of the same division in both the AFC and the NFC, but I think this is that year.
Yeah, I definitely think this is probably what's going to wind up happening with Washington just lighting it up on the scoreboard, and the Cowboys better watch out on Thanksgiving because that could very well be possible for them. And the Giants have been winning it with great, very good defensive play, and Eli Manning kind of just being efficient and getting the ball to Odell Beckham, and the running game kind of being there when it needs to be there. And so, I do think you need to be mindful of the Eagles just because their defense is so good, and you never, Carson Wentz is a good quarterback. Just you got to be able to protect the guy, which that's been an issue. And that's the same thing with the Vikings. You can say what you want about them, but Sam Bradford has not been the reason they're losing these games. And other than the one where they, like you had with the Eagles where all those interceptions were happening constantly. But it's been the defense trying to do everything they can, and just nobody's there to protect Bradford, and nobody can run the ball. And that's why Washington has been so great, is because freaking Kelly came out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, and has become this tremendous running back for them. And that has helped put them back into things. And I think we need to be just, look, the NFC runner-ups, Carolina Panthers, they're sneaking in there. They are sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Be careful. They get in the playoffs, I don't know you want to play them. So just be mindful of, they're 4-6 right now, but they're not any normal 4-6.
Yeah, I would be way higher on Carolina right now and say that they were my favorites in the NFC South. But again, that loss that they suffered against Kansas City when they were up, 17-0, I want to say, and blew that. They almost blew the lead against New Orleans. And you look at their schedule, and it's at Oakland this week. It's at Seattle the next week. Then they host San Diego, and then they're at Washington. The schedule is brutal for Carolina, but talent-wise, they are still the best in the NFC South. I just don't know if they can get out of the hole that they've gotten themselves out of. But Atlanta is not a team that's going to run away from that division.
No, they're not. It's going to be an interesting one, certainly. So lots of huge games in college football, and then of course, obviously, you got the NFL slate here too. So we're probably going to go through this a bit faster than we normally do, just because we got so much to cover here, and we don't want this to be a 2-hour show. But Houston is back in the land of the ranked, and they play on Friday against Memphis. I think Houston takes this one, even though it's in Memphis.
I'm right there with you. Listen, Houston was one of the best teams in the country. Was a contender for the playoffs. They got upset by Navy, who runs that offense that's just tough to defend, and they kind of fell off the map for a couple weeks. They got rejuvenated with that big game against Louisville, and I think you see the old Houston back the rest of the way. I think they blow this team out.
And they still lost to SMU. Just saying.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They lost to Navy and just gave up on the season. You saw, yes, they lost to SMU, but the week in between, they barely beat their opponent there.
Right.
It was just until Louisville started coming in that Houston went, oh, yeah, we got to actually focus on football.
Oh, wait, you guys want to talk crap about the playoff? Here. Now we're just going to whoop you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Louisville should have never got on Twitter and started talking crap about their ranking. When you start worrying about your ranking instead of playing, you're about to get whooped. Nebraska against Iowa is always a tough matchup. Iowa just did the big upset on Michigan. It's in Iowa. Could they pull another upset on Nebraska?
Oh,
go ahead.
I'm going to say they do. Just Wisconsin right now is begging for them to do it. But I'm going to take Iowa here at home.
I'll go the opposite. I'll go Nebraska. I think that they'll pull it off.
Man. I'll say Nebraska. I have a little bit more faith in them, but man, that's a rough one. Speaking of tough games, Washington traveling to Pullman to take on Washington State in the Apple Cup. Luke Falk has been ridiculous, but Washington knows that they have to win this game to stand any kind of chance at having that playoff berth still.
I just realized that game's on Friday.
Yep.
We're doing this, or I would have missed the part of this game. Listen, obviously I'm the Northwest guy here. I've been following this, talking to a lot of people. If Luke Falk plays anything like he did the second half against Colorado, Washington's going to win this game by 30. Luke Falk was overthrowing people left and right. I think the nerves got to him a little bit. He just didn't seem right. But if he comes and plays the way he has all season long, you know that Martin Stadium is going to be completely rocking. It always is for this rivalry, even when Washington State is garbage. And that is the one time that, that place is going to be going crazy. And now here's their chance to win this game. Even with the loss last week, if Washington State wins, they play for the Pac-12 championship. I'm going to take the home team here just because the way Washington played against USC did not excite me at all. And, because it's at Washington State and it's been so long for them, I'm going to give it to the Cougars.
Colorado is a team that I underestimated last week. And, as much as Washington State, has done such a good job and, sure, they've had a letdown. Sure, they've had, their own issues and, problems at times. They've still been very impressive. But at the end of the day, when I look at this, man, I'm sorry, but I think I got to go against Washington State here. I know they're at home. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I don't know if I buy into it just right now.
That's fair. I'm going to go with Washington State just because I want to see crazy stuff happen. I do think this is going to be close. It's going to be that shootout game. It's going to come down to who has the ball last. And both these quarterbacks have been great this year. But I kind of feel like I trust Luke Falk over Jake Browning right now. If I got to pick who's in the last possession I want scoring. I think Boise State, Air Force has been good, but I think Boise State just kind of locks it up and beats Air Force and kind of waits to see what Wyoming does.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Western Michigan at home, taking on Toledo. They finished the season undefeated.
Just to shut up the argument, no, go Toledo.
I love it, but no, I think Western Michigan.
Yeah, I think Western Michigan too, and then we got to see what happens in the MAC championship. Michigan and Ohio State. The big one in Columbus. It's a noon game on Saturday, too.
Yeah. Well, for you. 9 a.m. for me out in the Pacific Northwest. Thanks for thinking of us, guys, when you made this
It's weird
this
this is
schedule.
not an 8 o'clock game. So weird.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I am going to take... I'll just get out there. I'm going to take Ohio State here. I just think they are more balanced. And honestly, I'm a creature that loves, havoc in these kind of situations. So Ohio State winning here and creating the havoc with Penn State, I'm all for it. Go Buckeyes.
Yeah. You know what? Looking at this, I have one part of me that fights very strongly for one, and the other is my brain that pulls strongly for the other. And I feel like Negan from The Walking Dead going eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And here I am. And I've got to go with Randy's pick here. Ohio State, to me, does seem like the more balanced team. I think Michigan is definitely a good team. I think that they can beat a lot of other teams. But I think when it comes to Ohio State, they're a solid team. They've been to the dance before, and they've been more recently. So I've got to go with, the guys that have been there. So Ohio State.
It's at home. Like you said, the guys that have been there, Gary, I feel like Ohio State, and plus Michigan's missing their quarterback. So I'm going to pick Ohio State here. Michigan State and Penn State it is in Happy Valley. I feel like Penn State knows what is on the line here. I know Michigan State gave Ohio State one hell of a game, and I'm expecting the same thing here. But I think Penn State is going to make sure they wrap it up and put no matter. I mean, obviously they're going to know the result, and obviously if Michigan wins, then they're not going to get a shot at the playoff. But I think regardless of the result, I think Penn State is going to make sure that they wind up with their season at 10-2.
Yeah, I'm with you, and with the exact same explanation that if Michigan wins, I think this game might be even a little bit closer. They might have a bit of a slower start, as they're definitely going to be disappointed. But if Ohio State goes out there and wins, and they have a chance to seal the deal, oh man, watch out with Michigan State.
Yeah, I agree. Just to pick, I'll say Penn State.
And you get Wisconsin at home against Minnesota. And Minnesota's been interesting this year, too. I think Wisconsin takes this one, though.
Yeah, I believe in their defense. I'll go Wisconsin.
Yep, me too.
I can imagine we got a Big Ten championship game at Penn State and Wisconsin. That should be fun if that's what happens. But moving it along, USC in their final game at home against Notre Dame.
Notre Dame is complete garbage.
Yeah.
USC, luckily for USC, they play 4 hours before Colorado plays, so they won't be scoreboard watching. But I think they're just going to blow them out here.
Me too.
It would not surprise me. Yeah, I've got to go USC.
Alabama and Auburn. The game that doesn't really matter because I don't think Alabama, unless Alabama gets whooped like 70-0 or something.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, could you imagine? I don't see it affecting Alabama at all. They're still going to be in the conference championship game, and if they win that, they're in. But I think they win here.
I definitely think Alabama wins here. I mean, the only way that I think they lose or even lose by 70 is if the coaching staff forgot what day the game was on.
It's
like
true.
No one shows up.
Yeah, they just show the players are there just trying to figure things out, and the coaching staff's at home saying, "Oh, wait, is this Friday or Saturday? I can't remember."
I think Clemson beats South Carolina. South Carolina's been interesting. It's great that they got bowl eligible and everything, but once again, Clemson knows what this is. They're not going to blow this.
Yeah, Clemson.
Yep, I agree.
Tennessee should cover themselves and beat Mr. Vandy.
I actually think I want to take the upset here. Tennessee has not impressed me this season at all. And Vanderbilt, if they win, they're bowl eligible. So they have the most to play for at home here at the end of the year. I'm going to take Vanderbilt in the upset.
I like the guts, but I just don't have the stomach for it. I'm going to go Tennessee.
Colorado against Utah in Boulder.
Like I said, watching Colorado in a full game on Saturday for the first time, that Sefo Luafu, who is their quarterback, he was banged up in the middle of the year, was unstoppable in the red zone, especially with his legs. He ran for 3 touchdowns against Washington State. They are at home again. That crowd was raucous last week. It's going to be even crazier this week. I'm taking the Buffaloes.
Yeah, I got to go Colorado. I didn't believe in them last week. I kind of talked about it earlier. I got to take them now.
I gotta go with them as well. Just I was the same way as Gary. I didn't believe in them last week. I think they take care of Utah at home, and they see what happens in the next game, or in that. Well, depending on what happens in that game earlier, would be interesting to see what happens there. Because wouldn't Colorado win even if Washington State won? Because they have the win over Washington State.
No, they're in different divisions. It's between USC and Colorado. Yeah, if USC is done in their conference play, if Colorado loses, it goes based on ranking, and USC will move forward. And then obviously it's the winner of Washington and Washington State.
Okay.
It would be really interesting though. Say Colorado goes out and completely trounces Utah, Washington beats Washington State, and then obviously Washington right now is in that 5th spot. Colorado is at 9. Again, if they blow out a Utah who is ranked right now, and then they go out and beat a number 5 Washington, would you put Colorado as the Pac-12 champion into the playoffs?
Interesting. They've been really good, and the committee has really loved them. The fact to have them at number 9, so I could see it. I don't think, say, Ohio State does what they're supposed to do against Michigan. I don't know that you have an Ohio State there and they lead them out, but this.
So yeah, there you go. How would it be if Colorado beats Washington in the Pac-12 championship game? You have Ohio State beat Michigan, but Penn State goes on to win the Big Ten. Who's in the playoffs? Is it Penn State and Ohio State, and you leave out the Pac-12 champion? It's going to be really interesting. That's all I have to say. Plus, you have the whole. Wisconsin has a whole argument there. Yeah. Oklahoma has a slight argument, but I wouldn't be that enthralled with them. But there's a lot to go down here the next 2 weeks.
Florida and Florida State. It's in Tallahassee.
I gotta go Florida State here. I know they've kind of had their struggles, but they've kind of impressed me. Florida has not as much.
Florida has really no offense to speak of, and Dalvin Cook could. I know that Florida's got really good defense, but I just feel like Dalvin Cook is one of these guys you're not going to stop. I think Florida State, this being a rivalry game, they're going to win this thing.
It's again, as Sean said, no offense in Florida. If they fall behind, it's over. But that defense is nothing to be scoffed at. Obviously, they're going to be fed to Alabama in that SEC championship game. Right? I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to go with Florida State as well.
All right, so that's your college slate. Let's get into the NFL slate, starting with the Thanksgiving games. The Lions at home against the Vikings.
I just don't trust the Vikings anymore. Yes, they won last week. Give me Detroit at home at Thanksgiving. They're pretty good at that time.
Yeah, I agree. I like Matthew Stafford in this game. It may not be the best game for him, but I still think he's going to help find his way around the Minnesota defense. And yeah, I'll go to Detroit.
I think it'll be a close game, one of these 24-20, 23-20 games, but I think the Lions wind up winning, especially from a great performance from Matthew, don't call me Matt Stafford, off on the quarterback side. You got the Cowboys at home against the Washington Redskins with a depleted secondary that Kirk Cousins could just possibly pass all over. Who you got?
This game is going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be the one game that I think is going to get the most views. People are going to be so excited to watch it, and I am too. Of course, I do have vested interest, but seeing this game, I look at it and I say, man, this could be a shootout, or this could be the complete opposite. Every time you say shootout, usually it's a 6-3 game, especially when you have rivalry teams and division foes. I'm going to go ahead and say Dallas. The only reason I say that is because every time I have said they're going to lose, I know it's this week, and I'm saying it the same way this week. I can look at this game and say they should lose this game. They overcome those reasons and they win. So I'm going to pick Dallas, but I'm telling you, it's via skin.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm for sure of is the 7-point line they have for Dallas is far too high. I mean, obviously those lines are set by the way Vegas is betting, and everyone's loving Dallas right now, so you're going to go there. Plus, obviously, with me and the home team on Thursday night, you have to give the edge to the Cowboys as well. I would love to take the upset with Washington. I almost did when we did the fantasy podcast on Monday, just for the fact that, Kirk Cousins has been playing so extremely well. They have that running game going. As Sean said, the secondary for Dallas is a bit banged up, but Dak Prescott has just been figuring things out more and more each and every week. He's making the plays. I mean, how they were able to win pretty convincingly, and Ezekiel Elliott doesn't even find the end zone last week. So I think it's going to be close. The 7-point spread is too high for me, but I can't go as far as to take the upset, so I'm going to take Dallas.
Yeah, the Redskins have lots of weapons, and then you got to deal with Ryan Kelly, which that's not a joke either. And Crowder, who can just beat you off the ball. Like I said, this is going to be dangerous for the Cowboys defense to see if they can keep up with them. But I feel like at home, I think Zeke is going to be able to run the ball much better than he did against the Ravens. I think the Cowboys find a way to win it.
Yeah, and just go ahead, Sean.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say really quickly, I think it interests me most about this game, and I hear a lot of people from Washington saying this, it's the fact that they had that turnaround where they are coming off a Sunday night football game and then having to travel. It's kind of against their favor. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys had the same complaint 2 years ago when they played the Philadelphia Eagles in a late game, and then they had a late game against the New York Giants on a Sunday night game, turn around, come back home, and then have to play that short week. So I get the Washington's point, but it's not the first time Dallas has done it. Other teams, and it
is a common opponent. So
yeah, but still, it's intriguing to me. Are the Washington Redskins going to have tired legs by halftime, or are they still going to be energized? That's the big question here. It's a rivalry game. They're going to be up for this game. So are the Cowboys. So I can't wait for this matchup. I just can't. And R. Kelly's going to be there, guys. R. Kelly's going to be in the stadium. I mean, Dallas fans hope that he doesn't pee everywhere. So.
Jesus. Wow. I thought we were going to skip that, Gary.
Sorry.
Jeez, I thought maybe we could just, mention, that somebody's trapped in a closet or it's time for the ignition or something, but not the pissing thing. All right.
But you know what, Sean? No matter how trashy the comment that Gary makes about R. Kelly, Dak Prescott will make sure that finds a garbage can.
Exactly. Because he knows how to take out the garbage.
The dumbest news story I saw all week.
I know. We just have no news. God, it's so dumb. It's on the front page of ESPN. So I was like, God, what the hell? Take R. Kelly with you and throw him in there. Anyway, so you get the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Andrew Luck, by the grace of God, probably should not play in this game. So you got Scott Tolzien against Ben Roethlisberger and that defense that can't stop anyone. Whew, give me the Steelers in a blowout.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, I feel terribly for the Indianapolis Colts fans. You were probably looking forward to this game, thinking, man, I finally get, to be on a Thursday, a Thanksgiving Day game, and then you get this. So, yeah, Pittsburgh.
And see, I don't count these Thanksgiving games as regular Thursday games because people know that they're coming. And they normally don't get played like we do on a normal, Thursday night where it's only that one game kind of thing. But, so we move on to the Sunday slate. Titans are going to blow out the Bears. I'm saying it. They have given up on Jay Cutler.
I was going to say, hold up. Jay Cutler is basically done for the season. Mm-hmm. So, things are looking up in Chicago.
Who's the quarterback now?
It's that one guy. They're all the same. They have one of those backups that there's four of them that I always flip. Brian Hoyer.
Hoyer's out. He's on
Hoyer's injured. Yeah, he's on IR.
Excuse me. Then Matt Barkley would be the quarterback.
God, yeah.
I forgot Hoyer was hurt. So, yeah, Matt Barkley then would be the quarterback.
If the Titans don't blow him out, that's a travesty.
And also think about this, guys. If Barkley gets injured, the quarterback that will be taking his place is coming off the practice squad of the Baltimore Ravens. So, does that excite you? Not me. Yeah, this is going to be a blowout. Titans.
The Bills are going to blow out the Jaguars, too. Because Blake Bortles and his terrible throwing motion are going to go right into the heart of the Bills' defense constantly.
Yeah, you'd hope so, but I mean, the Buffalo defense is good, but they find a way to lose, and it's not all about them.
The Jaguars' defense ain't going to stop LaShawn McCoy, let me tell you that right now.
Well, I would hope not, and I'm with you. I really feel like the Bills are going to win this, but I'm sorry. I wouldn't put it past them to lose this game. I'm still picking the Bills.
Listen, Robert Woods got hurt. I'm not sure about his status yet. Sammy Watkins isn't back yet. They have no passing weapons in Buffalo. They're very one-dimensional, so it is just LaShawn McCoy there in Buffalo. Tyrod Taylor has struggled the last few weeks. Blake Bortles will probably throw it off of one of the legs of his receivers to get picked off, of course. I'm going to take Buffalo to win the game, but I would say it's a blowout. I think it's a lower scoring game just because that's how Buffalo is going to have to win games right now since they have so many injuries with some of their offensive weapons.
This game should be interesting because it's a divisional game up there with the NFC North. The Bengals no longer have A.J. Green for the rest of the season.
Nor do they have Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah, not that, he's been just wonderful. Perhaps that might help them. You only have one running back to go to.
Yeah, but, Bernard was the guy that he got the dump-offs. So you're left with a guy that just runs the ball pretty much. And
maybe they'll actually run the ball now.
How sad is it that, coming into the season, we were trying to figure out who, Andy Dalton was going to throw it to. It was going to be A.J. Green and what, until Eifert got back, and we're trying to figure that out. And finally, Eifert comes back, and he just lost two of his other big targets. It's been a mess in Cincinnati. Baltimore at home's tough. Their defense has been great. Less weapons there in Cincinnati. I'm taking the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens too.
Yeah, the Ravens are going to be mad after losing this last week. They're going to beat them.
You got Atlanta in the Georgia Dome against the Cardinals.
Yeah, this one's going to be interesting. Being at the Georgia Dome, I kind of feel like gives Atlanta the edge here. I'm not really a total believer in Atlanta per se. I think they're a good team, but I still think they got holes, and they definitely show at times. But the Cardinals, man, they have just not been anywhere close to what the Cardinals are usually. So I got to go Atlanta here.
I'm going to go with Arizona here. I think Falcons are going to have a hard time stopping David Johnson. And if Carson Palmer can be decent enough, I think the Cardinals can kind of overcome and maybe win in a close one.
Yeah. Palmer hasn't been decent all year. What a disappointment. I'm taking the Falcons here. They are 5-0 in the last 5 seasons coming off of the bye week. They get Tevin Coleman back. It's just going to help the offense. Give me the Falcons.
The Cleveland Browns at home with who the hell? I guess Josh McCown is going to play quarterback against the New York Giants.
Giants.
That's all you got to say. The Giants.
I got to say the Giants. Now watch the Browns go and win this game. So, hey, I'm not going to complain. That helps the Cowboys, so, the Rams going to New Orleans, where the offense is surely not able to keep up with New Orleans. The Saints are going to win this. I just can't see Jared Goff putting up 35.
Yeah, I don't really believe that Jared Goff is going to do that either. I really feel like, he's going to be have some success. And we are talking about the New Orleans Saints here, but at the end of the day, I just don't think he's going to have it in him to find a way to win this. And he's not going to win a shootout for sure. I don't think it's going to be a shootout in the first place. LA's defense is too good, but yeah, it's definitely going to be the Saints here.
Yeah, New Orleans plays way better at home. Give me the Saints.
The Dolphins at home at the Hard Rock against the 49ers.
Dolphins.
I'm going to take the Dolphins. Just anybody against the 49ers, just take the other team.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, Dolphins.
Houston at home against the Chargers. This could be one of those games the Chargers could actually win.
Well, yeah.
I mean, against who at quarterback. So
Just waiting for Randy to say it. Is the
Do I have?
No,
Yeah.
you don't. Just
Melvin Gordon, 9 rushing touchdowns on the season. Who would have ever thought?
Isn't Melvin Gordon hurt?
No,
Or he
he's not
was hurt last. Oh, they was on bye. Never mind.
Yeah, fine. He's totally fine. He's going to get 3 touchdowns in this game. That is my bold prediction. The Texans have a tough defense, but the Pooh will
They
give
are
up the ball.
undefeated at home, by the way.
It's over. Give me the Chargers.
Oh boy, this is a really tough one. I think that the Houston Texans are really disappointed in their loss coming out of Mexico City, but I just don't know. I think the Chargers like to surprise people. I'm going to go Chargers too.
I'm going to the Texans. They're going to keep that home streak alive here. I think they're winning. Seahawks against the Buccaneers of all teams. Seahawks.
The Buccaneers have been kind of coming alive here as of late, but that's not enough to beat the Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks definitely been red hot. They don't play as well on the road, but Russell Wilson is back. If you had any question, last week proved it. He's running around a lot more. Obviously, my Facebook blew up when he caught a touchdown pass, and everyone thought it was the greatest thing in the world. My favorite part of that was Doug Baldwin flipping off the coach before that play, saying, listen, we're in the red zone. You throw me the ball. I don't throw the ball. You throw it to me, which I just found funny. But Seattle is red hot right now, completely rolling. And I think they're just going to outmatch Tampa Bay.
An interesting one. I'm going to call this up my upset special. I think the Panthers can go into Oakland, where the Raiders don't play that well, and get a win.
I'm going to go with you here. A shorter week for Oakland, coming from Mexico. Who knows what kind of water they drank down there. And yes, they play terribly at home compared to what they do on the road. And Carolina is in must-win territory. So give me the Panthers as well.
You know what? I think I'm going to go against you guys here. I think that, while they were down in Mexico, they got some hot peppers, and they're going to get even hotter. I think they're going to be able to beat Carolina. Carolina's going to step on their own feet again and find a way to fail.
I guarantee the Raiders don't get the home calls that they got in Mexico when they go back home.
Yeah, that's probably true, but they probably won't need him because Cam Newton's going to get all sorts of cheap shots, and the referees won't call him.
God. This is what it's coming down to. It's terrible. The Patriots taking on the depleted Jets at quarterback.
I cannot believe Ryan Fitzpatrick is back at quarterback. Makes no sense at all.
I don't understand it either.
They are 3-7. Time to move on. Jets, lose. Give me the Patriots.
Patriots.
It's an interesting conversation. I actually saw a little bit of a discussion on this from ESPN, and they were kind of giving the reasons. And of course, the future needs to be known now. But I heard also that they still feel like if they get Fitzpatrick in there and things fall the right way, they can at least motivate their team to feeling like hey, we're not giving up on you guys, no matter if we're making the playoffs or not. So I agree with you though. Future is now, but New England's winning this game.
In the Sunday night matchup, a battle of the AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs visiting Mile High for the Denver Broncos. This might be a who commits the least amount of turnovers game. I think the Broncos at home, I'm going to go with them. Alex Smith hasn't looked too good recently, so I'll go take my chance with Simeon and the Broncos D.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you here. I think the Broncos coming off their break here, I think they find a way to win. So yeah, I'll take Broncos.
This one's tough. I love Andy Reid coming off a bye. His record is ridiculous. It is in Mile High. I'm going to take the Chiefs in the upset.
And Monday night, because the Packers just keep getting the national games for some reason, against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 4-0 at home this season. If Aaron Rodgers had a tough time against the Redskins defense, I don't know that he wants to meet the Eagles defense. I'm going to pick the Eagles here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you as well. Listen, Carson Wentz has played well. He should be able to slice and dice that secondary of the Packers. And the last time they had the spotlight, Carson Wentz definitely showed up. I picked Green Bay to beat Washington last week, thinking Aaron Rodgers was going to, come up big on the spotlight. It wasn't the case. He played well, but the rest of his team is just a mess right now with all the injuries. So I'm taking the Eagles.
Oh, sorry, guys, I have a call. Hold on. Yes, Mr. McCarthy. Yes. Oh, you need me to play a linebacker for you guys on Monday. Oh, you're that low. Yeah. That's what it sounds like all around, the world of the NFL right now. Yeah, the Green Bay Packers are calling people from Walmart, Boston Market, anywhere they can get a player to come play for them and suit up. That spells bad news.
They're trying to find Colin Winslow still.
Yeah. Heck, they're trying to call all sorts of people. So I Green Bay. I just sadly for them, I'm not an Aaron Rodgers guy, so I'm loving every minute of this. But they're not winning this game. It's going to be a disaster for them. Philadelphia. Carson Wentz is going to have one of the best games of his career, and Aaron Rodgers is going to get back in that booth and look at everybody and say, "It's definitely not my fault. It's everybody else's fault anyway." And it's really not his fault. But I just love his poo-poo face every Sunday. It's beautiful.
Gary also an Aaron Rodgers hater. So
I've been an Aaron Rodgers hater ever since he was drafted, only because of the way he acted. That's the only reason.
Yeah. He will be trying to find the discount double check way to get out of that stadium fast enough. So that is it for us here. We will try to get back on the regular schedule of being back on Monday night, talking about the games that happened and everything else. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Hopefully those games lived up to some kind of good stuff there to enjoy your turkey and everything else. And don't go crazy on Black Friday, for God's sakes. Please.
Yeah. Make sure you get your NFL jerseys on NFL.com. Don't go to the store and get them and get killed over that.
That's what people are killing each other over at the store?
No, I'm just saying it would not be surprising. You go get your, whatever jersey you enjoy, Latavius Murray jersey, and then you get killed because they have a sale at, Sports Academy. So.
Fair enough. Anything on your part you want to say before we get out of here, Randy?
I will say that kickers figured out. Randy Moss is a better extra point kicker than 80% of the NFL right now.
What was that stat, Randy? You're the stats guy, isn't it? Between 30 and 40 yards, they're fine when they get, in that range.
Well, that's an extra point.
Yeah,
they missed 12 extra points were missed last week.
A record.
Just ridiculous. You know what, kickers? You're off the dinner table for Thanksgiving. You have to go sit with the kids.
Yeah, I was on a podcast earlier today we had the host moaning and groaning that the extra point should go back to the 2-yard line. I'm like, are you insane, man?
It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, exactly.
They got to make it. They still have to make it.
Exactly. You got to make it. Kickers, make your extra points. Unless you want to chase your tail with the 2-point conversions all game, you can do that too. Alrighty. Until we see you again, have a happy Thanksgiving, safe Black Friday, and everything else. See you later, everybody.
Take care, guys.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.